Hey guys, caught me reading. Today is day number 66 and 90. My name is Alan Thomas, and I have Rethink Dieting for Men, where I help men rethink this whole dieting process. And my story goes back to 2017, and where I basically announced to the world when I was 304 pounds that I was going to weigh in March of 2017 that I was going to weigh 175 pounds no later than November 22nd of 2017, and I hit that 5 days early. And I talk about this every night just from the perspective that I deal with a lot of men who struggle with their weight. They struggle with the embarrassment of obesity. When you're 304 pounds, trust me, it's more than your ankles hurting and you feeling bad and getting, not being able to catch your breath going up a flight of stairs, which is something I hear real common every day. I hear that. It goes into, how it affects your relationships, how it affects your work, how it affects, every aspect of your life, how the people around you are affected by it, how it affects your children. My daughter, when she was 15, she was leaving me notes, and 12 years old, leaving me notes. She had friends making fun of, the fact she had a fat dad. She didn't tell me these at the time, but, if I'd only realized the challenges that I was causing other people in my life, maybe I would have done something earlier, but maybe not. But standing on the scales in March of 2017, I realized that I likely had less than 10 years to live. I was 55 years old at the time. Morbidly obese. I didn't have any big medical issues, but I knew good and well that lots of guys end up with a massive heart attack that are over 100 pounds overweight that don't have any big medical issues, because when the big medical issue comes, it's too late. And so, I talk to a lot of guys every day. I've got a lot of clients that are doing amazing, and it's so encouraging how they step into the best version of themselves just out of the gate, and they stay the course. But it's such a challenge when I'm on the phone with a man who really clearly can't get his weight under control, and this is a lot. And I don't offer my program to a lot of these guys because I know they're not ready. But it just, I always go back. I recorded my journey. It was a 260 days that took me to go from 304 to 175. And I don't ever say, again, I don't say any of this to impress y'all about me. I say it over and over and over and over again. But the reason I say it over and over is because there's somebody new that might be listening to me. And I'm a pretty thin guy right now. I'm in a pair of 32 slacks. I mean, there's shorts rather, and they're comfortable. I mean, I was in a pair of 46s that had stretch waistband that was, if it had broken, it would have killed somebody because the bands were stretched so tight. I was just determined not to be a 48, but oh my God, I was probably a 49 in the waist, 49-inch waist. And, I know some of you guys hear that and say, gosh, you wish you were a 49-inch waist, you're a 60-inch or 65-inch waist or whatever. But the number doesn't matter. What matters is, are you not doing something about this because you feel like you just haven't found that right diet? Or is it really more that you're afraid you can't go the distance? And then when I hear so many people tell me, I want to find a diet that's, that I can stick to for the rest of my life. And, I was that guy. I mean, I was on probably 75, 80, 90 different failed diet attempts. And it's interesting that so many men get in this mindset of that they're going to put it off one more day because they're waiting to find the perfect diet. And my thought is, and I didn't think this, I thought the same way these guys thought. That's the reason I was so morbidly obese. I was putting my life on the line every day because I wanted to find something perfect. Really? Well, how was my diet that I was eating working for me? How was that working? I mean, 304 pounds on my way to 404, I can promise you. I can show you how to gain 100 pounds real quick as an obese man. And so I understand what those guys go through. I understand it because I experienced it. I tell people every night, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a physical fitness expert. I am just a guy that completely failed miserably for decades, and I mean decades. Just because I wasn't 304 until March of 2017 doesn't mean I wasn't failing at it in when I was 25 or 30. Maybe I only had 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds on me extra instead of the 129 that I had. And so when I talk to a man, I know where he's coming from. I know, and I ask a lot of questions, when people get on the phone with me, because I want to know where they are. I want to know if they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. But when I talk to people, and it always breaks my heart for a man that's not willing to commit to his dream, because I know what it's going to cost. I know that guy's likely to be dead. I mean, I know that the chance of him fixing it is really, really small. And so it does break my heart. And I always go back and read from that 260-day journey. I wrote every day. I took a picture of my scale every day, and I go back to the date, that date and time, and I just pulled up, August 5th of 20, and I think I pulled the right date. It doesn't matter, but I love what this said, because I don't remember what I wrote. I captured my journey, and the scale reading that day was 222 pounds, 222.8 pounds. That was August 5th. But this is interesting, what I wrote, and I have no recollection of writing this, but I promise you I wrote it. The temptation to be satisfied with a partial victory in regards to losing a large amount of weight or achieving any big task is so alluring. Achieving a partial victory. How many times had I done that? How many times had I lost 100 pounds, lost 50 pounds when I need to lose 100 pounds? How many times had I lost 10 pounds when I need to lose 30? But it's so alluring. It's scary. It's scary to start. It is scary to start, when you really go all in like you did, like I did. But so much more difficult to finish. When you make progress and friends and colleagues compliment that progress, the temptation increases. And the temptation I'm talking about is to quit. It's so easy for others and yourself to get caught up in the comparison trap and forget the goal and the reason for it. And so, as I talk to these men, as I'm talking to you, and I don't know who's listening to this, maybe nobody's listening except my wife. My wife's always nice to listen to these. And but I think to really understand what it's costing you, to understand what it potentially could cost you, to understand what you're missing. What are you missing? Well, number one, you might be dead tomorrow, and I might be too. I don't know. But if you're 100 or more pounds, or 50 or more pounds, or 200 pounds overweight, the clock's ticking, and you don't know when time's up. So that's big. But also what are you missing in your family? I'm not just talking about being able to be more active and all that. That's great, sure. I'm on my bike every morning. My wife and I, we went to the beach yesterday with our daughter. I'm out there with no shirt on, and when I was 300 pounds, I promise you that wouldn't happen. I'd go to the beach and cover up with as much as I could. And so you miss life. You miss these things. You miss the chance to just feel comfortable in your skin again. I mean, how much is that worth? I mean, that's just something, it sounds so simple, but how much is it worth to be comfortable in your own skin? You sit down in a chair, and the chair's not tight, grabbing at your hips, because your hips are so wide that the arms of the chair almost squeeze you to death. You go to a theme park, and you can get on a ride and not worry about being the guy that's too fat that's going to hold the ride up. Or you get on an airplane, and you don't worry about having to buy two seats because you don't fit into one. And if you dare to fit into one, you don't have to think about the embarrassment of sitting next to somebody who's just dreading this big, fat, morbidly obese guy sitting beside him. And then once that happens, and you try to buckle your seatbelt, and when you're buckling it, you realize that there's no way you're fitting that around you without that seatbelt extender, which you have to ask the stewardess or steward to bring you in front of a plane full of normal sized people, and the embarrassment and shame of that, or walking into a clothing store and going over to a rack, and instead of having to go to the double X's, triple X's, 4X's, 5X's, in the rack of pants that's you got about 2 or 3 slacks on because they're size 50 or 48 or 60 or whatever they are. You can go to the regular rack size, and you walk over there, and you pick up the 34s or the 32s, and you go to the medium shirts or whatever it is, and there's just tons of them, and when you put them on, you look like a normal human being again. And I know that sounds vain to think that, but when you're morbidly obese, you miss that. And you pretend that you don't care, but you do care, because you get tired of the way your family looks at you, and they're thinking, when are you going to get this under control? So I'm saying all this not to throw shame on you that you already have. I'm saying this to get you hope. There are guys every day losing weight. If you're looking for a specific diet, I am not your guy to help you. I can promise you. I'm not that guy, because I don't think that's your problem. If that was your problem, wouldn't all the other diets have worked? Because they work for somebody, shouldn't they work for you? So maybe it's time that you rethink this whole process. Maybe it's time that you look squarely in the mirror and say you need some help, and that it's not something that you're going to conquer on your own. And maybe you empty your cup of all your ideas, and you let somebody who's walked through this journey help you through it. So what I say to you tonight is be encouraged. Be encouraged, and boy, the bugs go crazy on Amelia Island here in Florida. When I guess there's a cicadas or something, I don't even know the name of them. So I hope you can hear me. I hate yelling about this stuff, but I want you to have some hope. And if you want to have an honest conversation, first do this. Go to rethinkdieting.com, and you'll get a lot of ideas of things that steps that I use to conquer my obesity and to kill that obesity dead, so that I could live a normal life of a regular sized guy. And then book a breakthrough call with me. If you're looking for some help, you're looking for a mentor, if you're looking for a diet, I'm not the guy. Go to YouTube. Go Google a diet. There's not but 1,000 of them. But if you're looking for another way to rethink this whole process, book a call with me at www.transformmyfuture.com/apply, and that's in the notes here in the heading on this video. Or you can go to rethinkdieting.com and watch my free masterclass. It's I think 48 minutes, so it takes a little bit, but I think you'll find it's worth your time. I've had guys tell me that they love the strategies that I give in there, and that they've never thought that way. But if you really want some help and really want to get this done, do what men are doing right now that are winning. And again, I'm not a doctor, a nutrition, a dietitian, or physical fitness expert. I'm just a guy that made it through the wilderness of obesity to come out on the other side, and I'm going back and help other men. So reach out to me. We'll see if you qualify for the program. It's not for everybody, but I will see you tomorrow night or tomorrow day, whenever I decide to do this video, and we'll be at day number 67 and 90. So guys, one of the things, this whole process is a lot of times is very uncomfortable, but one thing I've learned is that comfort is clearly overrated. So get uncomfortable and take some action now. You guys have a great night.